Thank you. Melinda, are we good?
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Pocomoke City Mayor and Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, January 14th, 2025. It is 6:31 p.m. We're going to ask you to stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance with us. Thank you. Councilwoman Downing, could you lead us in prayer tonight?
Dear Heavenly Father, we're so grateful and thankful and appreciative for another day. Thank you for this opportunity to serve God. We ask you for your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we may serve the people of this city, serve you, and do the right things always, and you get the glory. In Christ's name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Moving forward to item number 2, approval of the minutes from December 16th. I'm going to do them all individually.
I'm abstaining from both of them because we just got the minutes. I haven't had a chance to read over them.
16. So 16. You all could very well just table all 3 of them. So what's wrong with it?
I make a motion to table all 3 approvals of the minutes for December 16th, December 30th, and December 31st.
Sorry. The motion has been properly made and seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, you have the same right. So moved, thank you. Moving forward to item number 3, review and approval of the current bill list for payment. Council, is there any discussion? I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
The motion has been properly made and seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, you have the same right. So moved, thank you. Moving forward to item number 4, statement regarding the Maryland Open Meetings Act. In October, a complaint was filed with the Open Meetings Compliance Board. The complaint alleged 2 violations of the Open Meetings Act against the city of Pocomoke, mayor and council. The complaint centered around the completeness of the minutes of the July 22nd, 2024 meeting and the time it took for the minutes to become approved by the council. Last month, the Open Meeting Compliance Board issued an opinion and found that the minutes, for the most part, contained the required details of the meeting, but the minutes violated section 3-306 B1 of the general provision article by failing to record the vote on a motion. The board found that the council did not violate the act as the alleged of the minutes not being approved in a timely manner. This statement serves as an announcement of the violation and a summary of the opinion pursuant to the general provision article section 3-211. Moving forward to item number 5, appointment of the city council first vice president and selection of second vice president. So as you all know, Councilwoman Marsh was our first vice president and Councilwoman Downing was our second vice president. Councilwoman Downing would indeed move up to first vice president. So I'm gonna ask for a motion to approve Councilwoman Downing moving up to first vice president.
I make a motion to appoint Councilmember Diane Downing as our first vice president.
I'll second that.
The motion has been properly made and seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, you have the same right. Thank you. Now to the selection of the second vice president. Are there any nominations?
I'd like to nominate C.L. Marshall.
You said accept. Sweet. CL, do you accept?
Okay. I'll support Diana and every opportunity.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? All right. So Scott, go ahead and make a motion.
I make a motion to nominate CL Marshall, or not nominate, CL Marshall for the second vice president of Pocomoke City Council.
I second.
The motion has been properly made and seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye. Those that oppose, you have the same right. Thank you. Moving forward to item number 6. Designation of bank signatory. So CL, what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to go into the banks. We want this on record that CL is now the second vice president. So he will be able to, he will have to, sign checks, in the name of the city, and also that Councilwoman Downing has moved up to the first vice president, and she will sign checks and, ordinances and resolutions. All of my powers will remain the same. Melinda, you will remain on the account as well. All right, yes, I'm sorry. And make sure you use his real name. Thank you. Moving forward to item number 7, appointment to the Board of Zoning Appeals, Marcus Collins. Marcus, please come forward. I, Marcus Collins, do swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and that I will faithfully, I'm sorry, and that I will be faithful I'm sorry. And bear true allegiance to the state of Maryland and support the Constitution and laws thereof, and that I will, to the best of my skill and judgment, diligently and faithfully, without partiality or prejudice, execute the office of Board of Zoning Appeals for Pocomoke City according to the Constitution and laws of this state. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome to the office. Welcome to the show.
Shake my hand.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, moving forward to item number 8, appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission, Chip Choquette.
I can bring somebody. I don't know. I just recorded somebody.
Oh,
the floor up as usual.
Got my hands full at
well.
home right now.
You can hold on to that problem.
Gonna say your real name or just Chip?
I'll go for Richard.
Okay. I, Richard Choquette,
I, Richard Choquette,
do swear
do swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and that I will be faithful
and that I will be faithful
and bear true allegiance
and bear true allegiance
to the state of Maryland
to the state of Maryland
and support the Constitution
and support the Constitution
and laws thereof,
and laws thereof,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
to the best of my skill and judgment,
diligently and faithfully,
diligently and faithfully,
without partiality or prejudice,
without partiality or prejudice,
execute the office of Planning and Zoning Commission
execute the office of Planning and Zoning Commission
for Pocomoke City
for Pocomoke City
according to the Constitution
according to the Constitution
and laws of this state.
and laws of the state.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome, Chip. Become part of the solution.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Good for us. Thank you, Chip.
Thank you.
Item number 9, appointment to the Worcester County Solid Waste Advisory Committee. So this is a Worcester County committee that the city appoints someone within the government to represent them. I know the last time we talked about this, none of us wanted to do it. So we appointed Michelle Beckett El Salah as a city employee. I'm gonna make a recommendation, and it's not Melinda. She's got her hands full doing all these minutes and stuff. I'm gonna make a recommendation that we appoint Mike Wyatt to represent us on the Worcester County Solid Waste Advisory Committee.
That's a good decision, I think. That's a good decision.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay. Can I just get a motion for it? I just want to have it in the minutes.
I make a motion to make Mike Wyatt the appointment for the Worcester County Solid Waste Advisory Committee.
Second.
The motion has been made and properly seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye. Those that oppose, you have the same right. All right, y'all, we're getting it down. Right, moving on to item number 10, resolution number 2025R7, charter amendment, section C-18, Pocomoke City Charter, authorizing the mayor's vote to break a tie, first reading. And just give me a second to pull that up. I don't have a. Okay. First reading a resolution of Pocomoke City Council amending charter section C-18 of the Pocomoke City Charter. Recitals A, the Pocomoke City Council has determined that the Pocomoke City Charter should be amended to clarify and modify the powers and duties of the mayor. And B, the desire to amend the powers and duties of the mayor has been a specific topic of a considerable discussion among council for some time. And C, the annotated code of Maryland authorizes the council to amend its charter through a resolution and appropriate notice to the public. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of Pocomoke City that Section 1, in accordance with the MD Code, Local Government Article 4-301, et cetera, the city hereby amends the Pocomoke City Charter as follows, with any words or punctuation bearing the strike through being removed for the charter, and any words of punctuation in capital or bold being added to the charter upon successful passage in accordance with Maryland state laws. C, 18D, mayor power. The mayor shall have the power to break a tie in case of a split vote of the city council. Section 2, in accordance with Maryland Code, Local Government Articles 4-304, the city will post notice and duly advertise the consideration and adoption of this resolution. The amendment will be effective on the 50th day after the resolution is adopted. Thank you. All right, moving on to item number 11, contract award, the Pocomoke National Armory demolition. Council, I am turning it over to you for discussion.
Well, when I started this thing some time ago, my thought was to rehab this thing, but we're too far gone on that now. I do know that we've received three bids, Mr. Wyatt.
Yes, sir.
I'd love to hear your recommendation on which one we should utilize.
Good evening,
Good evening.
Mayor and Council. Going back to the Armory, we do have our three bids, and I know there's people here today, people listening here that have mixed reviews and views on the Armory. I totally understand it. I'm a historical buff myself. But it comes to a point when you have cost, safety, effectiveness, we talk about plague and the city being dilapidated and everything else. Well, we have one of the worst buildings in the city. There was 10 years ago, I think, Ms. Downing, you brought up about it being $1 million. I have a brownfield, yeah, it was like 2012. I have a brownfield study from 2020. They estimate 5 to 6 million. And actually in their same study, the next paragraph said they actually thought it should be demolished. And that's a brownfield study. I mean, it's hard to argue with them. So yes, we did put out the bids. I think, Councilman, Marshall, and I think, Mayor Todd has made, and I believe Scott, Mr. Holland made about keeping some bricks. I've already talked to all three, whatever we decide this evening. There's a Maryland emblem up to the top. I made sure that that is going to try to be preserved if we decide to tear it down. An appropriate amount of the original block and brick and whatever we can possibly save to make a veterans memorial down here to Cypress Park. So we can actually hang our 5 flags and the American flag and honor our veterans. And I'm a veteran myself, so I have a very high passion for that. So that being said, there's my spiel. We have the 3 bids. My recommendation goes on Miller Landscape. I know he is the middle bid. Reason being, he did our Willow Street buildings, phenomenal job. He's done several things in the city that has been on a call of like that we needed done. McDonald's sewage running down Linden Avenue last year. We shut down traffic. He got a state highway. We fixed it all overnight. In one evening, we didn't have sewage running down the street anymore. He does phenomenal work. He's fast. And I do believe that sometimes when we get into bids and contractors, we have what they call change orders and change sheets that come in. I'm not a real big fan of those because what I have on paper, I believe that's what we should follow, but I can't stop it if a contractor puts in a change order. I just don't believe that would happen, just for professionalism, for getting it done in a timely fashion, for it to, how I described it is I want that lot to look just like the Willow Street lot. I wanted a grass open field, and later down the road for discussion with everybody else, the council members, the town, we can possibly put something there that it's just be more valuable. It'll look better. It'll bring an opening to that whole entire side of the city. So my recommendation would be Miller's Landscape.
$80,000 difference in that.
Yes, it is.
I would not be doing my job if I didn't ask you to justify that.
Justifying it is kind of what I was saying. I honestly believe that the job will be done in a timely, very good fashion. Last year, for an example, the Willow Street buildings, Mr. Miller had his paperwork up to par. MDE was,
That's what I was gonna ask.
MDE was sent down. Somebody sent him down from Hartford County on those buildings. And we had all of our paperwork straight, and Mr. Miller stepped out of his excavator when the MDE guy, and you don't mess with the acronyms, DNR, MDE, EPA. And he stepped out and presented him with the whole entire packet of paperwork. And that man turned around and said, I can't stop you. He said, you've got everything in line. Just like that. In my heart and my gut, I feel that whatever we pay him is what's going to happen. I don't think, and in our contract, the city is done. Once we award this, we're out of it. All the paperwork, everything is on the contractor. We are not responsible for any of it. That's how I worded it in the contract.
What does Miller cover that Bennett does not?
I think he has the equipment and the disposal of where to be able to take it and to get it out. I mean, I know I have a 60 day, and I think I put in there 10 days for weather permitting, whatever. So, I think the Willow Street I had for 30 days, and I think he did it in 12. He did the entire Willow Street building, and it's not even there. Nobody would know it was there in 12 days. That's huge. That is just huge. Time is money, and getting things out, getting things done. And I know it is a lot to ask, but been doing this a little while, and I just, in my heart and in my gut, I feel in the long run, I think this is the right one to go with. So.
Thank you, Mr. Wyatt.
Yes, sir.
Back over to the council for conversation, for discussion, if there's any, or if there is a motion.
I make a motion to proceed with the demolition of the armory here in Pocomo, utilizing the bid that, Mr. White has selected for Miller demolition.
I second.
The motion has been properly made and seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, you have the same right.
I'm abstaining just because I'm related to Ryan, so I don't want there to be any dispute, so.
So moved. Thank you. Congratulations.
But I do support the demolition. Just want to clarify.
Hate to see it go, but she gotta go. Thank you, Mr. Wyatt, for your hard work.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Thank you for your.
I look forward to a successful completion of this thing. I think we all do.
Moving forward to item number 11, item number 12, contract award, Cypress Park Lighting Project.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Hey, Mr. Bradley.
Back, I think, in a work session in December, we discussed awarding a contract to Aerial Services Incorporated to install 4 light poles around the Cypress Park tennis pickleball lighting project. And at that time, it was recommended that we approach the bidder to see if they would consider reducing it by approximately $2,500 to match what the grant award was. They've agreed to do that. So we're asking City Council to move forward with the award of this contract to this contractor to move forward with it.
Thank you, Mr. Brandy. Council, I will open up the floor for discussions.
I'm in favor of moving forward.
This lighting job, that will be reflective of the new elevation that'll occur in Cypress Park.
Yeah, there is a service panel that we want to make sure it's elevated to a 5 foot, which is about 3 foot higher than the ground surface. And the panels, I think, is already there, but we're going to verify that. And they're willing to do
I
that.
think the greater question is, when can we expect elevation? Because we have to be intentional. We're not going to see these lights in until it's elevated. So when can we expect?
When you say elevation, I'm not sure what you're referring to. The only thing that needs to be elevated on this project is the service panel and the transformer that Delmarva Power is willing to elevate. We're not elevating any ground topography, soil, anything else on the project.
So
That's
it's in the study, didn't it say that we needed to elevate the actual ground as well?
yeah, if we want to move forward with protecting the project for the next 20, 30 years, that has to be considered. But right now it is what it is. We can't protect and enhance the safety of Cypress Park unless we bring in more fill dirt. But because the tennis court, pickleball court is lower than what they recommend that elevation to be at, I mean, it's literally probably a $500,000 to $800,000 project to elevate that tennis court. That's just not in the works right at the
So
moment.
this
with
new
this grant.
lighting, when that does happen in the next 10 years, 5 years, I would assume that this new lighting will still be supplied.
Yeah, the lighting poles are not affected by the floodplain.
Okay, that's all we needed. Council, is there a motion or any more discussion on the bid?
Should move forward. That.
I'll second that, Mr. Downey.
The motion has been properly made and seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye.
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 Those that oppose, you have the same right. So moved, thank you. Moving forward to item number 13, contract award for the comprehensive plan. Council, I'm sure you remember, I asked you all to provide consensus for us to move forward with outsourcing our comprehensive plan. We only got one bid.
There were 2 bids.
Okay,
One was Peter Johnston from the Easton area. He was the author of the 2014 comprehensive plan. And his bid was approximately $39,600, I believe. The other bid we received was from Wallace, Wallace, I forgot the last name of it. They bid $129,644, $129,644. And they're actually the contractor doing the county plan at the present time. So I think we sent it out to 4 to 6 firms, and these were the only 2 that responded. So I believe it's quite a bargain to get Mr. Johnson back in the comprehensive plan update. And I think it was a very tremendous price that he quoted, to do that. So we're asking council to consider awarding that contract.
Council, what is your pleasure?
guess we can move forward with Johnson. Why is such a big gap of? You said Johnston's was 39,600. 39,000.
And Wallace was 100.
And Wallace was 129,644.
Wallace firm is a big firm, a lot of overhead. Mr. Johnson already has all the information essentially from the 2014 plan. He's got the map work. He's familiar with the city. He's close by, the one-person office, so a lot less overhead.
What is your recommendation, Mr. Brandenburg?
The award the contract with Peter Johnston as is.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid from Johnston for the comprehensive plan.
A second.
The motion has been made and properly seconded. All those in favor, use the sound aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, you have the same right. Thank you, so moved. Moving forward to item number 14, contract award for the Department of Public Works Building. Mr. Wyatt, as you come, I'm gonna talk. We discovered that our Department of Public Works Building is completely falling apart. They do not have space, or they do not have a place to store their belongings when they're there. They don't, there's holes in the floor. I'm just going to be realistic, and this is something that we really need to jump on. It should have never gotten this far. We can't undo the past. We can only make it right for the future. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Wyatt.
With a lot of help from our city manager, from Melinda, our city clerk, from myself, Bill, Miss Matthews, our financial director, putting together, we end up getting three bids for that as well. When we were reviewing the building, it's an 80 by 100. It's a totally enclosed. We're decided to go with 2 offices because either they don't have one office down there, and then the other office of Bill's trailer, which we all know is falling apart. It's literally stepping through the holes. So we're gonna put 2 offices. They only have 1 urinal, 1 toilet down there, and it's in a small little thing. So we're gonna add on a bathroom. They have nowhere to eat their lunch or nothing else. So in the middle of that, we're also gonna, back of the building, it's gonna be 2 offices, a meeting room / lunchroom, break room, also with a actual decent facility. Now it has to be unisex, but we're going to put 2 regular toilets with 1 urinal with dividers in between them, which they don't have now. But anyway, that's the plan for the building, with the base to put all the equipment we're in. So everything will be inside, so the longevity or whatever. But the bids we got after reviewing them and looking over them, the one that we received from Kaywood Construction was actually the most complete building. It was what I call turnkey. It is the building, it's the pad, it's the electric, the plumbing, the whole turnkey, when we're done. The other 2, unfortunately, and I've had the numbers in front of me. I think he was actually still close to being the cheapest, or in the middle of the road. But the other 2 were basically what they call a shell, which was basically an 80 by 100 box. It has no electric, no heat, no nothing. I mean, it has anything. So just by the bids we received, that's a complete project. It's a done deal. I mean, once he gets it, it's one contractor to do us top to bottom. If we get the other 2, either one, whichever one we go with, then we have to get an electric contractor. We have to get a plumber. We got to get the whole 9 yards. So my recommendation, just because it takes all the weight and everything off the city without getting another 3 bids for electric, another 3 bids for heating, another 3 bids for whatever else, this Kaywood Construction is turnkey. So my personal opinion and on my judgment, I would say awarded. I would respectfully submit Kaywood Construction get that building. Thank you.
Like, Mr. Wyatt, the 4 mini splits, is that gonna be enough?
Yeah, it's only gonna be 2 offices. It's gonna be 2 offices, like say, I forgot, when he drew it out and showed me, it's like 20-foot wide, but only like 12 foot.
Not gonna heat the rest of the building?
The rest of the building is gonna be heated with radiant heat It'll have the radiant heat just like we have down there now. It's the radiant poles that run through that radiate the heat. So the whole shop will be radiant heat. Your offices, your bathroom, your break room will be mini splits. So it'll have two different sets of, and that will actually have heating and air. Now, of course, the shop won't have air, but it'll have heat.
I didn't understand that thing.
Thank you. Is there any more discussion? I'll entertain a motion on the bid of your choosing, council.
I make a motion to award the bid to Kaywood Construction.
Second.
The motion has been properly made and seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, you have the same right. So moved, thank you. Right, moving forward to item number 15. Discussion on the District 3 vacancy. If I may go first. I believe that we need to do a special election. I don't think that we need to appoint anyone. Definitely don't believe we need to leave the seat open. It's 2 more years in the term, and I'd be more than happy to serve with somebody who ran for that seat, and that's just mine.
Yeah, I think it would be a disservice to the voters and to the residents of District 3 to be without representation. I kind of thought about it.
I shared my opinion back in December when Monda announced her resignation, or, informed us she was gonna resign the new year. So my opinion hasn't changed. I'm still in favor of having an election.
I think we all agree.
Yeah.
Okay,
Let the people decide.
so let the people know. Chip Chokat's here tonight, y'all. Let the people know.
Hey, that Chip's part of the solution now.
There will be a special election for the District 3 seat. Board of Election Supervisors, get ready. It's funny because we've been anticipating a year off for our Board of Election Supervisors for some years now. And we're still having an election, so they're still running strong.
Will we be able to do this in April?
Yes, because we have to start she has to advertise it starting in January. So she has
We're
to.
still there.
Tomorrow. And then she has to advertise it for a month.
Okay.
And then after she advertises it for a month, what will happen after the advertisement period? It has to be open for about a month. So we may be a little off. It may not be, it may not be completely on our schedule of our April elections, but it will be in the month of April.
Yeah, I think it's the right thing to do, and I hope that this council, as it exists now, can continue to get things done between now and then, and not, well, we need to wait for this, we need to wait. Let's keep moving, guys. Let's keep moving.
The only way I would see us needing to wait is if we lost 2 seats, but just losing 1 seat, Scott, Miss Diane, Esther, and myself operated as a 4-body council for almost 2 years when Dale left. We've done it before. We just have to be intentional, and we have to keep our eyes on the prize.
Yes.
All right. Moving on to item number 16, redistricting updates. Mr. Barkley.
Mr. Mayor, I'll take this one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much, members of City Council. Thank you. Well, I was gonna say this is an off year for elections, but that just changed a minute ago, so it makes it a little bit more complicated, but not too much. Redistricting. The city hasn't redistricted for, I think, over 20 years.
20 years.
Or so. And so staff has mobilized a little bit, trying to prepare a foundation for a redistricting process for the city at the mayor's behest. And I think it's a good idea to do sooner than later, because it has been a long time and our districts aren't properly represented as it stands now, according to our district map. Been a lot of growth in the city, particularly to the south side. Things are changing. They've been changing for a long time. We need to catch up to it. So we've enlisted the support of Worcester County, Salisbury University, and we've also reached out to a consultant who I believe helped the city 12, 13 years ago or so with a similar project. So that's where we are now. Now, I guess the city council, you all know this, has the opportunity to appoint a commission to do the redistricting, as many big cities do. Smaller jurisdictions don't ordinarily do that, but you do have that option.
If I can make a suggestion, and y'all know I'm all for commissions and clubs and, groups, whatever we want to call them. I think that this time, we just need to do this publicly. I don't think we necessarily need to appoint a commission. We just need to make sure that all of this is done publicly. So after our initial meeting with Salisbury University, we need to bring everything back to the public, everything they said. The first thing is, we need to look at 10 different maps. After 10 maps, we'll eliminate it down. We'll bring it down to 5. After 5 maps, we'll bring it down to 2. And then we have a huge public hearing outside of this building. Maybe at the middle school or at the high school. We let the citizens come in and tell us what they think, which map we should choose. And then we allow the council to do the vote and we push it through. That's just my suggestion. Y'all gotta do it.
20 years is too long.
What'd you say?
20 years is too long for that.
Well, it could be, they got 20 years for me. It could be even longer than that. I'm gonna tell you what I remember. I remember 2006, I remember my mother voting for Tracy Cotman in her first election for the city council. The maps have not changed since then.
Yeah.
So they got 20 years from this. So it could be 30. And we all know that District 1 is too split up and cut up. We also know that it doesn't make any sense that Winter Quarters Drive is split down the middle. It's split between a highway and split down the middle. We also know that District 5 is entirely too big. We have a lot to do. We also know that we have to keep 2 minority districts. That's District 2 and that's District 4. So we got a lot of work to do, but I think we can do it. And I'm very confident in the people that we've enlisted to help us.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The census data from 2020 is very telling. If you haven't gone in there and taken a look at how the city has changed over that 10-year period, it would be a good thing to do for all of us. But breaking that population data and socioeconomic and everything else down to the districts is the issue. That's where we're going to have to get really detailed and focused, and we're going to need some help. So we have, again, reached out to Salisbury University and Worcester County to see if we can't get a little nudge here and there with the actual data and the mapping that will help our city planner pinpoint these districts and apportion the population accordingly so that it's fairly distributed across the city.
Mr. Barkley, is this something that we should undertake, or is this something that we should have somebody who does this undertake?
Oh, they're gonna do it for us.
Okay, good.
We ain't gonna do it. They're just gonna give us the maps.
Good, because.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
No.
We need them people.
What you gonna do, see? You know how to survey land and stuff.
No.
You know how to survey. Come on, I was signing you up.
I wasn't more thinking about just the crunching the numbers and figuring out the.
No,
the
we're not.
Good, yeah.
They're literally just going to say, here are your options. Here are your maps. This map highlights this. This map highlights, number of houses. This map highlights population in-house.
Okay.
You know, we're gonna get different maps.
Perfect.
That's it. That's
Good.
all we got to do. We just need to make sure that it's all public.
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, we do have a meeting scheduled with Salisbury University's GIS. I'm not sure exactly what acronym they go by now, but we'll have that next week.
We will invite the Planning and Zoning Commission, correct?
Yes, we will invite
Thank you.
planning and zoning and any member of council that would be interested in joining us.
Mr. Mayor, before you move to council comments, can I go back to agenda item number 15 and just get a point of clarification?
Sure.
Okay, so charter section 40 says that for a vacancy in the council, that there may be a special election held either in conjunction with the next general election or at any other time specified by council.
Any
My-
other time specified by council.
And so I guess my understanding is that the goal is to have it as soon as possible in accordance with the charter.
As soon as possible in accordance with our April.
Can there be a motion of council to
Can they
formally,
make a motion?
yes,
For what? Make a motion. For what?
to have a special election as soon as possible?
Can I make a motion to have a special election as soon as possible?
Second.
The motion is properly made and seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose, you have the same right. You have an election.
All right, thank you.
Moving forward to item number 17, comments from the city council. Councilmember Holland.
Just a few. I wanted to thank Public Works for their work they did through the snowstorm. There are a lot of cold nights out there, so I appreciate what they do. And I wanted to highlight, we had our employee appreciation dinner or breakfast at the end of the year. And Mr. Bill East has been with us 25 years, and he's gonna try not to make much of it, but it's been here 25 years. It's a long time, and what Bill East means to the city is a lot. So I just wanted to highlight that and show appreciation again for what Public Works did through the snowstorm. And I also wanted to thank the police department and Chief and I think Ian Castaneda was the first cop on the scene at Duck In. I know it's never good to have a shooting in Pocomoke and you can feel unsafe when something like that happens, but the response time and the work the Pocomoke police did should help ensure how safe we are in this town. Some things you can't prevent, but when it broke out, they handled the business and they did their job well. So I just wanted to thank the police department as well. One other thing is I don't know if it matters, but I think CL Marshall said it's 80,000 on the bid difference of the demolition of the armory, but I think it's 75,000. So I just want to clarify that so we don't get another things. And I still have no phone since last Thursday. So if anybody's been trying to contact me, I apologize. I can still supposed to be in today. Maybe it'll be there when I get back. I doubt it, but if you need me, I'm still have my email if you need me. So all good.
Yeah, give them mine too.
And that is all I have.
Councilman Marshall.
I'd like to echo the sentiments of Councilman Holland, for the Public Works, the job that they did over the last couple of weeks. It was above and beyond and they did it well. Mr. Barkley, I joined him and Mr. Gleason down at the Public Works facility, prior to the last snowstorm for a slice of pizza or two, and great group of guys. They did a fantastic job for us. Our police department, as Councilman Holland spoke, did a wonderful job. And some very trying circumstances. And what was very, I think it was very telling, and it kind of made me feel even safer than I do, was the cooperation that our local police department had with the county and the state. And seeing that work as it should was a wonderful thing. And I think our residents are better for it. That the county sheriff's department did an outstanding job handling their part of it. And we even called on some state agencies to serve some high risk warrants. And that was amazing. And hopefully we can, at a state level, affect some change where juvenile repeat offenders will have to answer for their crimes instead of being just cut loose. And that would have prevented this. So that's all I have. God bless Pocomoke City.
Thank you. Councilwoman Downey.
I'm not gonna go through all of that all over again. We all feel the same way and grateful for all the employees of the city and for the citizens. That's all I have.
I'd like to thank Marcus Collins and Chip Choquette for your willingness to serve
Yes.
on our Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning and Zoning Commission. We really appreciate it. I'd also like to thank everyone that had a hand in putting together the contract awards that we were able to issue today. I know that was a lot of work and I'm grateful for your hard work. And also, I know today's probably the cutoff to say Happy New Year, but Happy New Year. And I'm really excited about everything that we will be able to accomplish this year. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Councilwoman Cotton. Moving forward to comments from the mayor. I'm gonna start more recently than anything. I want people to understand what our landlord rental agreement really does. I want people to understand the protections that are in place for tenants, but also the protections that are in place for landlords. Someone reached out to me this morning, or the wee hours of the morning, and informed me of a waste backup in a dwelling that their father was living in. I told them, hey, contact Mike Wyatt and CC me on the email. I was CC'd on the email and got more information as the morning progressed from the emails. I'm not gonna go into detail about all that went on, but what I will say is that once Mike Wyatt got involved, change happened for someone who could have potentially been out on the streets. That's what our landlord rental agreement does. It provides protection, not just for the landlords, but for the tenants also. And this is something brand new. We've never had this before. So Mike is kind of guiding this with his heart and with his head. So Mike, thank you so much for all you do. You're not in City Hall, so we don't see you when we come, we have to make a special trip to go and see you. But, your hard work is not in vain, and it's not going unnoticed. I want to thank everyone that made all of these bids possible. Sometimes I do feel like I am a drill master. And this is what we need, this is what we need, this is what we need. And you all made sure that we had every last one of the bids for every last project that we were undertaking well before we came to the meeting tonight. So I am very grateful for that. I am excited about both of those new positions being filled on planning and zoning and the Board of Zoning Appeals. I am going to say one more thing. I had the auspicious honor to attend the swearing-in reception of our new state senator, Angela Alsobrooks. I was excited to be there. I was excited that she shouted out our town there. I think that we can potentially have the same type of relationship that we had with the outgoing senator. And it was so funny hearing Senator Van Hollen quote something that he heard that I said. But as CL said in his comments, I think it is crucial that we continue to build rapport and relationships with our state and our federal officials. I remember when I first got in office, I told somebody this yesterday. We were talking about the marina. And I said, the truth of the matter was, we wanted the marina, we just didn't have the money for it. At that time, we owed the state of Maryland a lot of money. It was a decision, it was a conversation with me and Councilman Holland right here in this chamber, where we ended up saying, listen, we don't care what we have to do, pay them that money. We were missing out on so many grants because we had to match everything at that time. We've got an amazing economic development coordinator, Kara Lacey, who's working hard. We've got a great city manager who is back to biting the bit. We have Dan in planning and zoning, Mike in code enforcement. We have the team to make things happen. We can't do it. It is the city employees that do it. We just talk about it. We have the team to make things happen. I'm looking forward to the redistricting. I'm looking forward to everything that Pocomoke is going to do this year. And with that being said, I wanted to talk about the priorities meeting real quick. One of the key things that the mayor and council are going to focus on this year is our road and sidewalk infrastructure. We have to fix our roads and sidewalks. And also, we have to create some barriers in our roads. So not just fix them, but we got to put some stuff in them too. We do have to slow down the speeding, and I don't believe that speed bumps are the answer. You know, we talked about getting speed bumps before. We've been all through it. We've talked about the speed cameras. So it is something that we need to come up with. The other thing is a recreation center in this town. We're tearing down the Armory. It was said on Facebook last week, Mayor Todd Knott was an Armory kid, and I was. So we're tearing that down. We have to replace it. You don't just tear something down and get rid of what it served. You tear it down to make it better. And I venture to say that those young men that were involved in that incident a couple Sundays ago, their lives could have been changed if it was something there to help change their lives. I learned my Social Security number at the Salvation Army. I learned how to sew a button on my shirt at the Salvation Army. I learned how to make hot dogs in the microwave. I'm afraid of what the long-term effects of that. Yeah. I learned those things there. I learned life skills there. I also learned not to talk to strangers on my way home. You know, I learned how to walk through town and avoid the bad neighborhoods. I learned life skills. And just maybe, not the mayor and council, but maybe Pocomoke has failed our youth. And maybe it's time for us to right a wrong. I've said this before, I said it in the priorities meeting, whether it be with the Boys and Girls Club or whether it be a venture that the city takes on its own, it needs to happen. It's gotta happen. We've got to make it happen. I don't want to return here in 10 years and hear the mayor and council still having the same conversation. And I think that this is the group. Finally, this is the group to make it happen. Now where it'll be, who knows? Who'll run it, who knows? But the one thing that we know is we want it and we need it. And I really hope that the citizens get on board. I'm looking forward to hearing from City Hall about their plans concerning it. Also, Mr. Barkley has a meeting with the Boys and Girls Club on the 17th. They've reached out to me about a breakfast or something like that. And of course, I'm going to defer to one of my colleagues because I already believe that it's needed. I need somebody else to see that it's needed. So keep your eyes out for those types of things. Unfortunately, I'm gonna break the other part of bad news to you. Well, good for some, bad for others. Because of the Salisbury density situation, we're all gonna have to look at our density. So Dana and Mike, get ready. Because something that happened in another town is gonna force us to do something that we probably need to do because rent is on the high side. In Pocomoke, again, home ownership has skyrocketed. If you look at the cost of a home 5 years ago compared to a cost of a home now, you're blinking. So that's gonna be a conversation that we're gonna have to have in the near future. But this is the team to do it. Scott, I believe in you. CL, I believe in you. Councilwoman Dunn, I believe in you. Brooke, I believe in you. And most importantly, and most of all, I believe in myself. When nobody else does, I'm gonna believe in myself. That's all from me tonight. Thank you. Moving forward to comments from the city manager.
You're a tough act to follow, Mr. Mayor. I've never said that to you. Heard me tonight. Thank you, sir, and members of council. Just quickly, staff is preparing to do a tour of all of our public buildings, all of our city-owned facilities. I know many council members are interested in doing this with us, and we invite you to participate. But we're going to do a comprehensive inventory of what we have out there and really get down to the nitty-gritty and figure out what we need to repair, set a schedule for it, look at the schedule and the value of these properties going forward here. We really need to log that in and make sure we have a solid foundation, like many other things that we're working on in the new year, to go from, so that we can report to you at city council meetings about the status of each building and the situation as the city landlord for these buildings as well. So I'll keep you posted on that. We'll put a schedule out. If we have a quorum, we'll advertise the tours. I don't have any problem with that. It's what we should do anyway.
I do have a request of you. Could you please put out the highlights from the priorities meeting? I know you kind of put it in your report, but
Yeah.
I promised,
Okay. Happy to do that. Yeah, we'll
Thank
put it
you.
on the website and on Facebook and anywhere else that will accept it. We'll send it out. Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. But just wanted to acknowledge that tour is happening. We're going to be looking at these buildings in a very specific way about improvements, about repairs that have languished for many, many years, and then we'll move forward as the good landlord that we should be as a city. Also wanted to acknowledge Public Works. I know it's already been done tonight. But they did a tremendous job, and the word out there is that Pocomoke had the best streets on the Eastern
by
Shore
far.
during the snowstorm. So that's something to hang our hat on here. I've heard that a lot from other people. So that's great news. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
If I could just go back into my comments real quick, what I want to say about the snowstorm and the communication with the city. Mr. Barkley, Mr. East called Mr. Barkley, told Mr. Barkley what he needed me and Mr. Barkley to do. Mr. Barkley called me and said, this is what I need you to do. I even talked to UCL and said, this is what I gotta do. This is what we gotta do. The communication was superb. Superb. And if we can communicate about everything else, like we communicated about the snowstorm, we are cooking with grease. And I want this snow to go ahead and wrap up. I don't want no more. I don't want us to have to talk about snow anymore, even though I saw that it's supposed to start snowing tonight at midnight. So, Mr. Barkley, thank you. Mr. East, thank you. The communication was superb. We were truly prepared for this snow. If we ever been prepared for it before, we were prepared this time.
If I may, Mr. Mayor, I also wanted to thank Mike. I know he's been thanked. It's been a Mike Wyatt love fest here tonight, but I'm going to pile on and say that I'm surprised Mike wasn't out there with a plow during the storm, but Mike is one that fills in and reaches beyond his position description to really help out his colleagues. And I think we're all getting accustomed to doing that here. And that's a good thing about the staff that we have, that we kind of jump out of our comfort zone and help each other with things. And Mike Wyatt is a perfect example. You saw it tonight with the Armory project and the Public Works building and everything else. He's ready to go if we need him. So appreciate that, Mike.
Sinkholes and all of that. We're now going to move forward to comments from the audience. If you have a comment, please come up and state your name. Please provide our city clerk with your address at the conclusion of the meeting.
Mayor and Council, my name is Stephanie Dubrell, and I am the representative from the horse farm in the Great Pocomoke Fair. And as of yet,
Ma'am, could you do me a favor real quick? Could you just tilt the microphone to your mouth just a little bit?
I'm a little shorter.
What was your name, ma'am?
Stephanie Dubrell,
Stephanie Burrell?
Dubrell,
Dubrell.
D-U-B. And I'm a horseman's representative down at the barn. I'm a third generation horseman. I'm very happy and excited to be the representative going forward. We have great things in mind, expanding the racing, maybe getting more renters in the barn. But on the heels of that, we need a lease. We need a lease. There's many, many repairs to the barn. I don't know if anybody's been down there recently. Each and every stall is leaking. Every single stall. Every time it rains, your stalls get flooded, your horses get wet. Your horses get wet, they don't race. If they don't race, you don't earn money. If you don't earn money, entire domino effect. We can't move forward with doing any repairs, and from all of what it sounds like you guys have going on, you can't either. So if the Great Pocomoke Fair is able to take over the leasing of the barn, we're hoping to be able to get some grants, make those repairs, and take care of the maintenance. We've had a freezing water condition, obviously, for weeks now. From what I understand, it's gonna be another 15 days of this very freezing cold weather. And if you've ever carried 5 gallons of water in ice cold conditions, it's not a fun job. I can tell you how much a horse drinks per day. And it's not fun.
I have a question. real
Sure
quick.
thing.
Who's your contact person for the city? No, it used to be Michelle,
Mhm. As far as I know, it's Mr. East.
Mr. East.
That's who, I made aware of the conditions at the barn. And some of them are safety concerns. And as Mr. Wyatt said, it's cost effectiveness and safety. And any of those three, they're major things. We have a truck that doesn't stop. Brakes have failed. We have water that doesn't run. We have a roof that's leaking. And it's causing major problems, and we have to move forward and get something done about it. I was under the impression that that the fair was going to lease the barn, get an entire, a lease for both properties, or the barn property. And then we could get grants and we can get the repairs made. But now we're on the eve of, it's too late.
So, there's been rumblings about this, different people have said it, but it's never been said here in this space.
Okay.
I personally believe that moving forward with any kind of lease or anything like that would require a work session right here in City Hall. It would also require our attorney to drive something up. It wouldn't be turnkey. It wouldn't be a turnkey situation. I don't think that it would be a turnkey situation. But I'm disappointed to hear about the condition. And
There's been no maintenance done.
and I'm more disappointed that no one has, these things just didn't happen overnight. And so it's just, I've said it, I'm not gonna go on my spiel. I've said it before. The city is the landlord. The city needs to act like a landlord. The city needs to fix stuff up. The city needs to make sure that it's working properly. So ma'am, I'm gonna ask you
Mhm.
to get with Mr. Barkley,
Okay,
and I want you to set up a meeting with Mr. East, Mr. Barkley, and Mr. Wyatt. And
okay.
I want you to go over everything that is wrong, that is wrong out there.
Can
Just like,
can I interject real quick with that? I agree that needs to be done, but, we've had a big changeover at the fair committee
Mhm.
over the years or in the past year.
Correct.
And, the new members have really been making a push to bring an effort to bring that back into good standings in this town. And I know that they've asked for a lease for 20 years. And I shared that with everybody on this council and the mayor. Didn't get much feedback from it, but the objection was 20 years is a long time, but personally, since I've been on council, it's been 5 years, and the fairgrounds what we deal with the fairgrounds is minimal. And for the new committee and the buildings that you're talking about, the purpose of the lease would be so that they can apply for grants.
Correct.
So right now, they're not able to do that. And since we have enough to tackle on our own, like you mentioned when you first came up here, I'm fully in favor of of working out a 20-year lease with the committee so that they can, as active as they are. Um, I have faith that and hope that it works out. And if it doesn't work out, the worst thing that would happen is they apply for these grants and fix the fairground up. So I'm still in favor of it. And if I think that I'm urging the council to at least have a work session on this and go over all this in detail because 20 years seems like a long time, but it's really not in the grand scheme of things. So um, I appreciate you coming here tonight and bringing it to attention and maybe opening some more eyes. So thank
And
you.
as the mayor said, I mean, fairgrounds, the way that we look at it, I cannot wait to introduce more children to the barn. Into my sport. I mean, I know everybody's got their own thing. Harness racing is mine. You can read me football stats. I can read you driver trainer stats. And I would really, really like to get more youth involved. But to move forward, you can't ask them to come into a falling down building.
That's right.
I do believe, at present, we do have a proposed lease. I think I shared that with Mr. Barkley. Have you shared that with Mr. Illuminati? So there is something that I think that we received at the end of November.
Yes.
We've been moving on other items. I know the mayor and there's been some discussion, and I do believe a work session is a good way to I
If we
agree
can
with you.
schedule that, that would be
I
great.
would love to have that scheduled, and I would request that the fair committee be in attendance. All the, Mr. Carey, I believe, and
Yep.
whoever else it is, because it's a lot to work through. And from the city standpoint, we have budgeted $30,000, I believe. I'm not too good, I don't math well. But but I believe we have $30-some thousand budgeted for maintenance in that facility where our public works people spend their time cutting grass and doing the bare minimum of maintenance as is obvious. I would much rather see our public works folks put to better use than cutting grass at the fairgrounds and at
I
the golf
agree.
course and places that aren't generating us any revenue. So I agree with you, but I do believe in order for us to get it right, the work session is imperative.
And
Alright.
and the last thing I'll say is I know that two of the grants that they were hoping to apply for through the for barns and stuff
Yep.
were due in January. So so I urge you're probably gonna miss them regardless now. Hopefully there's more opportunities in the future, but I hope we move quickly on this.
So before we close this topic, what can happen concerning the things that are due in January? The city, they can write the grant and the city can apply for it, because remember, that was the same case with the, help me out.
Discovery Center.
No. Community garden. Remember, they wrote the grant.
Oh, for the side,
Right,
for
that
the
we-
pavement.
Right, so they can write the grant and the city, you all would have to vote on it. I just think that it's worth us having conversation. Conversation has to happen, but I still believe that that there needs to be a meeting of the minds that we don't have to be involved in, so we can really know what's actually wrong with the fairgrounds. And I know John said he's gonna take that they're gonna be taking a tour, but the truth of the matter is, if I go on this tour, is it really going to be any avail? Am I going to know what I'm looking at? Is it gonna look like it's torn up to somebody that doesn't know,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I would much rather,
Oh, you'll know. You'll know. If you picture a
I would-
haunted house, you'll get the idea.
I would much rather a detailed list still to be out there so we can know what has to be fixed.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the audience tonight? In the flesh.
Oh, man. So first, I guess I'll just offer that I know sometimes my relationship with you guys is adversarial. I hope you can see me more as an ally. Something I truly believe in is your citizens are a force multiplier, and that's kind of why I started doing what I'm doing. I wasn't going to speak tonight, but that topic kind of brought something to my mind, you know, something that I've reported on a couple times. I know that the train club is here, and I'm not a member of any of these organizations. I support them all. The train club was here several months ago, and I know that they have major issues with their building. They have some wood rot, fascia board, stuff they inherited when I joined the club originally. And you talked about doing a tour. And I know the community garden came here about 1.5 years ago for the walkways, and that would, you know, to me, you know, my mother has mobility issues. She can't enjoy the garden without something like that. So I think this kind of brings back big picture, hearing about the horse barn. City owns a lot of stuff, right? You've got a lot of engaged citizens all over the place. You've got engaged citizens in the train station. You've got engaged citizens at the community garden. Maybe a work session, not just about the barn, but taking a step back and how you manage all of these things. Because I know that when you guys go and look at that train station, there's some major issues there. And it's nothing that the train club has the ability to fix without the city's help. So that's kind of what I was hearing. I know, I mean, personally, as a, you know, I'm really invested in this stuff going on. I bought a building downtown. You know, I see the community garden, I see the armory. These things are really, you've got a good team. You know, you and I have talked a lot about some of these things. And maybe it's time to take a step back and look at the big picture at all, how these things all fit together, and make them all work better for the citizens. I think you guys could do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I don't, Chip, we are planning on doing a tour, so I'm sure the train station will be on the list of properties that we're doing a tour on. And we've discussed that internally as well. It's Dockside Discovery Center. Like you said, there's a lot of buildings that we own, and we have to do a better job of managing them. So I think that's our goal. And as Mr. Barkley said, it's like a city property manager type deal. So it's on the list, and I appreciate them.
But you know, and I know I've been tough on this subject, but when you really think about it, we can say that the city was the landlord, but the truth of the matter is, really, the city manager is kind of the landlord. Y'all know, we're kind of hands off. You know, we're not going to these properties. We're not involved in the rent collecting process. We're not doing any of that. When you have a town that was managed by someone for 40+ years, these are the kinds of things that happen. So, number one, Pocomoke never needs to keep a city manager that long again. And number two, listen, it's all in good fun. And number two, we just need our city employees to be serious. If properties need to be broken up, you know, these people handle this, these people handle this, then be that as it may, but just come up with a strategy for it, because this is not something that I want us to be talking about this time next year.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It might be a good job for Mr. Wyatt, so I'll be talking.
I wasn't gonna say his name, but I mean, that nice heat, nice air. He's gonna be asking for a nice raise soon. You better watch out. Oh, yes.
Mr. Barkley, thank you so much for your posted weekly report, and I guess Arrowhead put it up as well. Thank you for that. I did notice on there, and I think I even mentioned something, the MDE at the fairgrounds, was there a problem? Okay.
Well, talk to us about it too.
Yeah, I mean, everybody kind of wants to know. I knew about it last week only because somebody called me and said, "Hey, what's going on at the fairgrounds?" I called the mayor and he didn't know anything.
Regulatory perspective on.
Was it the horse barn? I mean, I don't know.
I was contacted approximately 4 weeks ago by an MDE level staff person who was in charge of wetland enforcement.
Mm.
Back in 1993, there was a ditch running probably through the middle of that fairground that was had wetland designation to it. Sometime in that era, 1993, 1994, a permit was filed to modify that wetland and expand it. And that's what you see today is that pond down there and vegetation down there. It was then approved by the state and recognized as an enlarged modified wetland. He received a call or complaint that Phil had been brought into that area. He asked for staff to attend his investigation and inspection of that last Friday. I did accompany him. He walked it and it was freezing cold that day, but he did walk it. He sent a follow-up report a couple of days later. His conclusion is that that fill material that was brought in the riding arena may have impacted that wetland designation. So they are asking the city, as we are owners of the property, to look at restoring potentially that wetland condition. And they're asking we move forward with putting silt fences up as soon as possible to prevent further impact to the wetland as far as soil, sediment, and so forth. So
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just laughing because when was anybody gonna tell us? I mean, it was at the bottom of your report.
Here's a question in mind, I appreciate you stating it, they were just very general.
Yeah, I think our strategy was to address it in my report and then bring it to council when we had a chance to digest.
You know what the other part of all of this is? We really need to go back and find documents for all of these properties. Because, remember, the state did not know that they owned the armory. We did not have proof. Well, the state did not know there was a reverter clause. We did not have proof that there actually was a reverter clause. We knew it from word of mouth, tall tales. We got this, we need to pull back and find the documentation on all of this stuff.
the other side of it, if I may, Mr. Mayor, is we're also looking at potential solutions and responsible parties that may help in solving the problem. So this is the other part that we were trying to research and pull together. We may have to put out an RFP possibly to prepare a remediation plan, contact some of the parties that may have been involved and see if we can get cooperation from everyone. That's where it's kind of at right now. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, I'll provide you with more detail when I'm comfortable with it, but it's all in a little fluid right now. I appreciate your comment, Mr. Mayor. We'll update council as fast.
And just let me add, the reason why I said we don't need to keep a city manager that long anymore is because nationally, at average, city managers stay in towns for 3 years. That's the only reason why I said it. So. I don't know, we at one point, it was months with us. Yes, ma'am.
So the city pays for this? City put the dirt there?
That's what it sounds like. No, no, we know that. Go ahead.
We could talk about it all night long. I got a funny feeling. It's kind of, as Mr. Barkley says, it's a fluid situation. Obviously, it's all news. I think this is a prime example of pulling the reins up on that fairground. There's no oversight to this committee, or, I mean, I guess it's a committee, there's a board. I don't know much about it. But there's a lack of something.
It's two committees.
But yet somebody wants to do a lease for 20 years
It's-
with something like this happening under the nose of the
It's-
city?
It's two
Yes.
it's two committees. They're separate at the fairgrounds. There's two out there.
I can't hear what.
It's two the fairgrounds is made up of two what is it, two committees? One,
I'm still,
Something like this really doesn't matter. There was an issue, obviously, and now whoever put this dirt there, fill dirt, which I see other piles still there. Whoever put the dirt there, obviously was unaware of some sort of environmental issue, if I'm following the bouncing ball correctly. So now the city comes in behind and has to pay to have it rectified.
I don't think the city has said are on the hook for these dollars yet.
I'm just
It's a
thinking, I
very
would hope
fluid
not.
situation. There's a lot of speculation. And I think that Mr. Brandewy, Mr. Barkley, and myself would probably, and I can't speak for anybody else, would be more comfortable in speaking when we have more factual information. When we have that, we'd be more than happy to report that.
I would hope so. That's a pretty big deal. Especially when on the other side of the field, we're talking about a lease. 20 years absurd. It's absurd for several different reasons. Any kind of grants that they would be able to get, the city would be able to, sign for them and go forward. This is nonsense up here. That's just complete incompetence.
I'm gonna call for adjournment after I say this. I still am waiting for the documentation concerning the two committees. And I think haven't I asked for it in open session before?
Yeah.
Because there was a time, and I know you remember, Ms. Diane, where the fair committees came here to City Hall and they were sworn in by the mayor, and now they chose themselves, but they were appointed by the mayor and council. So I'm still waiting for somebody to do the research, because now it's just kind of like, oh, we're separate, but I remember when it was the same thing. So I'm still very confused. I've asked for people to do some digging. If that means that y'all got to go back in minutes from 1972, please find us an answer. Because if we get an answer, we may not even have to talk about a lease. If we get an answer, it might be cut and dry. We might be just spinning our wheels right now and we don't even know it. So please, somebody, anybody, find us an answer.
And regarding the fairgrounds, just as I was mentioning again, I just wanted to give my condolences to Mr.
Absolutely.
Norman and his family. He, I feel like everybody in this town has rode his bus at some point, and he also was on the initial board and committee of the fairgrounds, and he did a lot of good work out there. So I just want to give condolences to Mr. Ennis and his
We
family.
did send flowers.
We do appreciate that. Mr. Ennis, I just wanted to answer your last question. Myself personally, Mr. Ennis did have to come to City Hall here and endorse me as the horseman chairperson. So I could not do it without his approval. He
Right.
had to come here and get your approval.
Right.
So in my case, it's as you said it was.
Thank you.
So.
Yes, sure.
Chapter 41, Fair Board, adopted by the mayor and council of Pocono City, 10/3/94, by resolution number 250, amendments noted where applicable. Establishment, powers and duties, assistance, ex officio member, membership appointment, and then I don't think you want me to read all three, but two amendments were, one was in 97, another one was in 97, ordinance number 349. So it's in the code. That would be something maybe to look back at.
Thank you.
I thought I was going crazy because I knew, you remember I called you that night and I asked you, I said, I know, I remember this. Is there a motion for it? Are there any other comments from the audience? Is there a motion to adjourn? The motion has been made and properly seconded. All those in favor use the sound aye. Those that oppose, you have the same right. Everybody have a great night. See, if you just switch, if Andrew got you an iPhone, you could have went to